All right, good morning. This is Andy. We are talking about Schluter products today, and I'll let everybody here introduce themselves and take it away. It'll pop up back up again. There we go. Okay.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Brost. I am the North Central Territory Manager for Schluter Systems. I'll be executing this PowerPoint today. I'm sure that throughout this you'll have questions. Feel free to interject with those questions at any time, and I might give you the response that will get to that. It's a lengthy PowerPoint, but we should hopefully be able to get through everything within about a 2-hour time period here. We're scheduled till noon, so with that, unless anybody has any questions to start, I will get things going.
All right.
All right. Here we go.
There we go. Oh, I just need to. I guess you have to be like, yeah, so click it like that. That's going right to 2 and 3 aren't visible.
Oh, yes. Okay, yep, that's right. Okay, perfect. So just an overview of what we're going to go through. We're going to go through a little bit of background about Schluter Systems. Then we'll get into tiled floor applications, then custom tiled showers. We'll talk about our profiles or our trims as referred to. And we can also, if we have time at the end, talk about our workshop program. So in 1966, our founder, Mr. Warner Schluter, founded a tile contracting business. He, in 1975, after years of being in business, was having difficulties with tile transitions where they met other floor coverings, becoming damaged. At that point, he developed, which I'm sure most of you are aware of, our L-shaped profile called Sheen is the first product that he developed in 1975. And then now today we have almost 6,000 products and well over 500 employees. And I think this year alone we've hired just in the United States about 30 people. So we're a rapidly growing company, continually expanding our product line, and definitely want to continue to be the most innovative company in the industry. This is where we are located, all across North America and all over Europe. These are our 3 North American locations: Reno, Nevada, Montreal, Quebec, and Plattsburgh, New York. This is a visual of our Montreal facility. At this facility, we have our marketing department, so all the print literature that was sent to you, all of that our marketing department works on. They are out of our Montreal office. Our Canadian customer service department, we have a permanent on-site training facility at this location, and all of our customer service and day-to-day operations for Canada. This is our Plattsburgh, New York facility. This photograph is about 7 or 8 years old. This building is now over twice the size, and we have added on 4 different times to our manufacturing facilities at this location. So all within the last 7 to 8 years. So we are massively growing. And this is our newest building in Reno, Nevada. This was built 5 years ago. Opened in July of 2011. Our all of our facilities, or I should not, I don't know about Reno, but our Montreal and our Reno, Nevada facility are have achieved LEED status. So they're very, very energy efficient in their operation. The Reno, Nevada facility is our customer service for the West Coast of the United States, and we also have on-site training facilities here and customer service as well.
Hey, Andy.
Yes.
I can't see anything.
You can't.
No, I can see your ceiling.
So you're not seeing the presentation?
No.
My screen is frozen on the
Okay.
first page
Yeah,
of the presentation.
mine too, I guess.
Okay. Let me just troubleshoot.
Are you guys getting any noise from where I am?
Yes, lots of noise. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Some noise.
Is it distracting?
Not necessarily.
Okay, because I'm at the store, so
Oh, you are? Okay.
I have their background noise.
Okay.
Heidi's location is
How about now?
400 square feet within a healthy grocery
Now I think I heavily invested in workshops, education based.
Okay, so you have, you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
store have
I think,
products.
does everybody see the slide now?
Yeah. And they've done
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. All right.
Thank you.
Sure. Technology. All right. Is technology better?
Are we still good?
There we go. Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think so.
All right, perfect. So education-based means we're heavily invested in workshops that are provided throughout North America. We train on applications our products are designed for, and they are designed for big box staff, contractors, installers, designers, architects, basically anybody that's involved within the tile industry. So, tiled floors. What are the benefits of them? They're durable, hygienic, easy to clean, and beautiful. We can, with all the different tile options that we have nowadays, we can pretty much create an environment that's aesthetically pleasing to almost anybody. But the challenges that we face in the industry are what we see in these two photographs here. This is very, very common to walk into either a residence or a commercial space and see these types of things happening. Cracked tiles, grout falling out of the grout joints. So that is something that we are definitely up against and is a struggle for us within our industry. So looking at these two photographs, we see on the left a building that's approximately 900 years old, and on the right we see a tile floor that's approximately 400 to 500 years old. Now, walking through and taking close-up photographs, one of our territory managers was in Cologne, Germany at this cathedral and was amazed that he could walk through a tile installation 400 to 500 years old and not find a cracked tile and not find a cracked grout joint within the installation. So how is it that 500 to 400 years ago they could execute this installation, and today we have difficulty seeing a tile installation last even a couple years? And we've got a video here that hopefully will play. Maybe not.
I can certainly
Well,
make sure that I can embed that video in an email and get it to everybody afterwards.
yeah, we'll get that video. And basically what the video does, though, is it basically gives you a rundown of an installation that was executed 400 to 500 years ago and how they did that and how it's drastically different from what we do today. And then basically what it goes through is it gives you a timeline and an evolution of tile installation. What they did 400 to 500 years ago, what they did, the largest paradigm shift in our industry was in the 1960s when they switched to cement backer board. Mm-hmm. Prior to cement backer board, everything was done over a mortar bed, a wire reinforced mortar bed that an installer would float and then he would wet set his tiles into. Then obviously people are not leaving a recess in their homes where 2 to 3 inches of mortar can be installed so that they can install tile on top of. They started either utilizing cement board or direct bonding directly to their underlayments. And that is where we see the issues with tile installations nowadays. That wire reinforced mortar bed with a slip sheet underneath it was the principle that we refer to as uncoupling. And uncoupling is what allows for the building to move without moving and affecting the tile layer on top of it. So the direct bond of tile, the stresses within that slab or substrate directly move through to the surface if we don't have something there to give you that forgiveness in the shear plane. So cracks in the substrate becomes cracks in the tile. The other thing we see happen, obviously specific to direct bonding to a slab, and specifically a new slab, is we see buckling, which is caused by the shrinkage of the concrete. So if we install tile over green concrete or new concrete, what happens over time, over that first 28 to 30 days of concrete, if you set right over it, all that moisture leaves that slab, therefore it loses real estate. But the real estate of the tile on top doesn't change.
And concrete cures literally for 20 years. It's just the first 20, 30 days when most of the moisture comes out, it's still curing. So you can still see shrinkage cracks from concrete 10 years later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we make the joke in our industry that we have two kinds of concrete that's cracked and concrete that's going to crack.
Exactly right.
So when we talk about shrinkage or loss of real estate in a tile installation, we look at this photograph, and this is a picture of a floor in a church. And what happened here was that they were starting to see wear patterns on their tile. So they thought, you know what, we'll take all the pews, we'll disconnect them from the floor because they were mechanically fastened. We'll move them off to the side, and we'll hire a cleaning company to come in and buff and polish the whole floor, and it'll all look beautiful again. So they remove the screws, they move the pews out, the cleaning crew comes in the next day to go ahead and clean, and this is what they find. All those pews were mechanically fastened, holding that tile into place, and as soon as it was released,
The pressure.
the movement stress the tile was allowed to move, and this is what happened. So addressing substrate challenges, we're referring to our product Detra, and what we do is the uncoupling principle that I briefly referred to, we also give the ability to waterproof a floor installation. We deal with vapor management with obviously smaller amounts of moisture from the substrate, typically just a concrete floor, more so than a wood floor, and we give substantial load support. So we already talked about uncoupling a little bit, so let's go into waterproofing.
Can I just ask a quick question, or just kind of bring it down to the level of our homeowners that we're talking to? Uncoupling or the use of the Detra board is basically the same idea as floating the floor. And what you're really doing is separating the tile from the substrate so that the tile can do its job but not be affected by movement of the subfloor, the floor joists, so forth.
Correct. It is bonded, so it's not floating like we would consider a laminate installation with just rolling out a pad.
Right.
But I would say probably one of the simplest ways to refer it to a consumer is just a crack isolation membrane. Is probably the term that's going to familiarize them best.
Okay. Because in years past, they used to use just a layer of cork as a crack isolation barrier.
Yep, and they're still used a lot because of it gives some sound quality.
Right.
Nope, very good. So you also have the ability with this product to waterproof an installation. I find this very beneficial in master bathrooms, especially those which I have done quite a few recently where there is a curbless or an aging in place benefit that we are bringing into the home for the consumer. So this banding process on the seams and any floor to wall connection with this product can give you a 100% waterproof floor. Obviously, if we have ductwork, that leaves a hole within the floor or a doorway leaving that room, that is your only exit point for water. But otherwise, the floor itself is completely waterproof, protecting, which is most commonly a wood substrate underneath it. Vapor management over concrete and wood, any moisture, like we talked about, the fact that concrete will cure out over years and years and years. So the benefit of Detra over a slab is that all that moisture is kept within the slab. So the moisture is not allowed to leave it, therefore causing that concrete slab to shrink, causing all the cracking. All that moisture is kept within the slab, therefore it's wet curing over the life of its installation. And then load bearing. We see a lot of installations of tile in car dealerships, and I've been through a lot where you see a lot of cracked tile issues, but I've also been in several where our Detra underlayment is underneath them and they're driving cars across them all day long, every day, in and out of locations where you would bring your vehicle in for a service. A lot of your service departments are now drive-through. See a lot of success with this underneath that as far as load bearing is concerned. I'll have to also get you this clip. This will not play. This is just an animation that shows the function of Detra. I'll briefly explain it. What happens is, as your substrate expands and contracts, the membrane itself, the open airspace within that membrane, allows for the movement to take place in your concrete or wood subfloor, and it doesn't affect the tile on top. And you'll notice that the thin set that's bonding the tile to the membrane is actually filling a dovetailed square. So your thin set's not actually stuck to plastic, it's actually mechanically fastened with that dovetail configuration. So that's kind of how it works. As a tile contractor, this sold me. The fact that I can take the square footage equivalent of 22 sheets of backer board into a house in one trip on one roll.
Yeah.
That roll that she's holding there is the square footage equivalent of 22 sheets of backer board. I can take that into anyone's house. I can cut it with a utility knife, and I'm thin setting it to the floor. And within a matter of hours, I'm ready to set tile, whereas my competition with backer board,
Still be carried
they're, yeah.
Exactly.
Or let's face it, in our climate here, in the months of November through February or March, it could either be snowing or raining or just terrible weather conditions, and you're set up outside cutting this stuff because you're not cutting a sheet of backer board in someone's house.
Yes.
It's easy to transport. You can fit essentially what you would need for a 323 square foot area in the back of a car. Whereas you see the gentleman walking out with a roll of Detra, and you see the other two guys loading sheets of backer board into a pickup. Like I said, easy to cut, no dust, no mess, and virtually no wasted material. For the functionality of Detra as a membrane, you can put it in as small pieces as you can cut virtually. The only thing where that would present a problem for you is if you wanted to waterproof it. Obviously, if you're waterproofing the installation, you would want to eliminate as many seams as possible. This Detra is very easy to transition to other floor coverings. We manufacture it in two different types, actually three different types now if you include our Detra Heat product. But Detra at 1/8 of an inch or Detra XL at 5/16 of an inch. These two offerings give you the ability, Detra XL gives you the ability to flush out with a solid 3/4 hardwood. And we brought Detra XL out after we started noticing a lot of installers using Detra, but then the popularity of a solid 3/4 hardwood came back, and we're like, all these installers are like, I'm either installing 2 layers of Detra or I'm doing a transition from my wood down to tile.
Right.
And that was not aesthetically pleasing.
Mhm.
So Dietrich XL took care of that. Well, and then now we're getting back into large format tile with
Mhm.
medium bed thin sets underneath them. These large format tiles being a minimum of 3/8 of an inch thick with a medium bed mortar under them are actually working out really well with Dietrich to flush out to a solid 3/4.
Is there any benefit of using the cement backer boards anymore?
In my opinion, absolutely not. A CBU, Duroc, Hardybacker, Wonderboard, any of them, they don't give you any structural integrity. If we illustrate setting two sawhorses apart 2 feet on center,
Mhm.
and we put a piece of 3/8 plywood across that,
Mhm.
and we step on that, there would be some structural integrity there.
Mhm.
If we did that with a sheet of 1/2-inch cement backer board, we would go right through it.
Mhm.
So I like to bring about that illustration just to, most people when they think cement board, they think, well, cement, that's tough, that's strong, but there's no flexural strength in it.
Well, they're also thinking that it's a flat surface. When you're doing tile, the smoother or flatter the surface, the better. So I would think that the Dietrich actually makes up a little more imperfection.
It actually, just as well as cement backer board, contours to every imperfection in the floor.
Okay.
All of it does, because when we think about a cement board installation, we're troweling out thin set, we're bedding that sheet, and then we're putting a screw in it every 6 inches.
Mhm.
So that screw is going to pull it tight to every imperfection in the floor.
Okay.
Just as well as our underlayment will contour to those imperfections. So if you have patching or leveling that needs to be addressed, it needs to be done prior to an underlayment installation
Okay. Alright.
for the most successful tile installation
Mhm.
on top of it. So just a couple slides showing how it goes down. Cutting it with a utility knife or a scissors, very, very easy. Troweling out your thin set, installing it. This is ensuring a long-lasting and durable tile assembly.
So I have a quick question.
Yes.
Is this just for floors then, or would you also use it on backsplashes and shower walls?
This product is specifically for floors, but we do offer other things which are specifically designed for wall installation. And we'll get into that in a later part of the presentation.
Okay.
I have a question as well.
Yep.
Can it go over just about any other kind of floor? So if I have a customer that has a vinyl kitchen floor that they don't want to remove, can it go over the vinyl and then you can tile over that?
Look at that. There's a slide for that.
This is an older part of a presentation. We show over OSB and plywood, obviously, is always going to be the case. Over concrete is always going to be the case. Prior to the launch of our product Dietrich Heat, which we can maybe set up a later presentation on just that specifically. That's about an hour presentation. But we used to recommend it over heating cables, and we do have a detail in the Dietrich installation handbook that goes over how to install over existing vinyl. There is some requirements that you have to ensure you meet prior to executing this install. Obviously, a perimeter glue vinyl or a cushioned vinyl is not an acceptable product to go over, nor is multiple layers of existing vinyl. So,
We
but
usually say you really only want to go over vinyl is if you have old vinyl and it's asbestos and you don't want to disturb it. You know, then
Okay.
you want to just go over
Yeah.
it because you don't want to bring those contaminants into the air.
And it's, like a lot of things, if it's a clean, sound surface. So if that surface is secure, it's not, perimeter adhesion. It's a
Right.
full slide.
Okay.
And I can tell you that I've used Dietrich myself to put porcelain over existing porcelain, and it works.
Oh,
You're
wow.
not supposed to do that, but it works.
Don't tell me that.
Don't tell me that.
you didn't hear that.
Yeah.
It's not part of the presentation.
In my own house, so that
Uh-huh.
yeah,
That's where you really test the materials.
exactly.
Absolutely. So, what to install on top? Ceramic, natural stone, and then obviously porcelain. And how to install it. Over a wood subfloor, we recommend a modified thin set to bond the Ditra to the subfloor. And then everything on top is always going to be a non-modified. The reason we like to qualify type of thin set is because modified thin sets need air to cure out, or they need something that's going to pull the moisture out of them. So that wood subfloor is a very, very porous material, and it's going to pull the moisture out of the latex modified thin set, where on top of our membrane being plastic, air is not going to go through that. And the moment we put a tile over the top of the thin set that's on top of our membrane, very little air is ever going to get to that. So that's why we call out a non-modified, because the non-modified simply needs time, not air, to cure. So just a couple slides that show the installation real quick. Cutting it to size, appropriate amount of thin set going onto the floor. Roll the Ditra into place, embed it using a wood float or a grout float. Pull it back to ensure that you've got coverage. Fill the cavities, trowel thin set, and set tile. Here's some of the benefits that I like to quickly go over, just to show the amount of weight that you're eliminating, the amount of time you're eliminating, and all the mess that you are eliminating. So premix mortars to install Ditra. Never. Please never.
We don't like premixed anyway.
Yeah, I like to call that Satan in a bucket.
Sure. Yep.
It is not your friend. I just simply illustrate the fact that I can go to any big box store, grab that bucket off the shelf, not knowing how long it's been there.
Mhm.
I can crack the lid on it. It is pliable. I can use it on a job, put the lid back on it, set it on a shelf for another 6 months, go back and crack the lid again, and it's still pliable.
It's the equivalent of Velveeta cheese.
There you go. Yeah.
Final cheese.
So definitely, please, please, please do not use that. So
Just exactly. Ooh, good idea.
So is it necessary to apply Curdy band to the seams of Ditra?
Is it necessary?
Is it necessary?
Only in a waterproof situation.
Perfect. And the trowel size is a 1/4 3/16 V notch or a 5/16 square notch for installation. And what kind of warranty does Schluter offer? I didn't say, but maybe you know.
I don't know.
So I like to kind of qualify our warranty versus a lot of other warranties in the industry. It is a 10-year warranty, but it is a labor and material warranty. So typically, a lot of the manufacturers that are offering a lifetime warranty on their things, it is a product only, and it is a lot of times prorated.
Mm-hmm.
So if you use another manufacturer's underlayments and your total costs are $500 to install your floor in underlayment and thin set costs, and 5 years later you have an issue with that, they are going to give you the prorated value of $500 worth of material, which quite frankly barely covers the cost of a fraction of your tile.
Mm-hmm.
So our 10-year labor and material warranty covers the cost of tearing everything out, all the materials that need to go back in, and the labor to put it back in.
Where are the gray areas there as far as if it's installed correctly in the first place, or do the installers need to be trained in order for that to follow through?
The only gray area in it is installer error. There is no requirement for being a certified installer.
Okay.
Obviously, if it was a installer error and the installation was less than stellar,
Mm-hmm.
You would have the issues regardless if it was our product.
Mhm.
So, and with that said, there is on this next slide plenty of resources for anyone to execute this successfully. All of our print literature, as well as tons of videos on our website and our YouTube channel. So plenty of ways to successfully execute that install.
What about homeowners? If they were to do it DIY?
Yeah, that warranty applies to the homeowner as well. So if you were to do a cash and carry and somebody just came and bought all the materials from you and wanted to do it themselves, the product is still warranted as long as they execute it successfully.
They're probably more likely to watch the YouTube videos
Right.
and
Yeah.
whatever anyways
Education.
than the contractors will.
Yeah, and to just relate that to a homeowner, do-it-yourselfer, a little story on that is I've met with several homeowners that have more than successful installations, have done it themselves, and I've given them some assistance. They've gotten a hold of us through our customer service department. I've talked them through a few things, and they've sent me their finished pictures. And I mean, I've seen a lot of really, really beautiful installations from homeowners. Now, granted, that installation probably took them 30 to 40% more time
Sure.
than a professional installer, but they certainly executed it and were more than happy with their finished results.
We find that with all the products we sell. When homeowners do it themselves, they read directions, they follow directions. It may take them longer, but it gets done right. And with contractors, typically I've done this 1,000 times. I know what I'm doing, and they just don't look at detail whatsoever.
Well, that's just every installer, and typically most men in general. We don't like to read directions. We already know how to do it.
Sure, of course. We were born with it.
I laugh because I'm always the one in the background reading the direction as my husband plows forward. I'm like, wait.
Precisely. I am perfectly happy to admit my faults.
Yeah.
So, any questions on Detra? No? All right.
Nope.
All right. Well, let's move on to showers. So,
Yay. I'm excited. I have a shower plan ahead of me.
so quick question. How much water do you feel passes through the average shower every day in gallons? Let's throw some numbers out.
How many people are showering?
Right.
50.
50, okay? Who else?
I'm going to say 30.
30.
I was gonna say 30.
So each person use about 20 gallons per shower, something obnoxious
Depends.
like that.
Depends.
Depends who's showering.
Right.
What do you got?
60.
60.
It depends on how many people are showering.
What's the average shower?
About 20, isn't it?
Okay.
15.
15.
All right.
30. Who's our winner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
2 winners. So how we figure that is based on the average flow rate of a shower head being, I think they take it at 2.5, so that's 12 minutes.
Okay.
But what that equates to in volume, if we take and go back to the slide and we looked at the picture of that shower on the first shower slide, that equates to 3 inches of rainfall per day
In the shower.
in that shower, volume-wise. And what that is over a year is 1,100 inches.
It's like a whole range.
And if we look at that based on a few cities throughout the country, we would consider Seattle to be a very wet climate. And that is a very, very small fraction of the amount of water compared to what your shower sees. And let's face it, we would never expect a homeowner to take skids of cement backer board and skids of tile home and apply that to the exterior of their home and expect it to hold up.
Yeah.
But yet, day in and day out across the country, we've got tile installers that are merely tacking up cement backer board to a shower wall and putting tile over it and expecting it to perform. And they're expecting it to perform in a scenario where you've got hundreds of times the amount of rain if you look at it in a volume matter compared to the exterior parts of our homes. So here's just a couple of slides that are going to show you how not to execute a shower installation. We look at a 3-year-old shower, and this is a little bit unsightly. It's not horrible, but this is what's underneath it. And if we could take and add a little bit of scent to these slides, in this one you would vomit. I personally had to tear stuff like this apart, and there's moments where you just have to go outside and get some fresh air because it will make you sick. So why does it happen? Tile, grout, and thinset are not waterproof. Yes, when we look at a shower and we see it functioning, we see the water hits the tile, the water runs off the tile, and it runs to the drain. That's water in its liquid form. But moisture penetrates behind the tile in a vapor form, and it cannot exit the shower enclosure. So a shower must be able to manage moisture in both liquid and in vapor forms. Two different types of shower systems and how they're waterproofed. You have a traditional water in, water out system on the left, and a bonded, waterproofed, sealed system, our Curdy shower system pictured on the right. So the water in, water out requires a lot of special skills, a lot of components from various manufacturers, and the only person that can warranty this installation is the installer who puts it in. You will never get a water in, water out system with 4 to 5 different manufacturers involved in it. You will not find one of them that will warrant it. So waterproofing methods, we have liquid applied membrane or sheet applied membranes. Just a couple of photos of liquid applied membranes. With these membranes, they must be dry before we can apply tile. There's unpredictable drying times based on job site conditions. And required thicknesses vary among manufacturers. So a lot of times with these liquid membranes, you're looking at 2, 3, sometimes 4 coats to get to that appropriate mill thickness for it to be waterproof. Some require fabric, where panels meet, where inside and outside corners combine. Requires modified thinset mortars, which brings about extended curing times. They're difficult to integrate with traditional 2-stage drains. Very time consuming, waiting for things to dry. And there's always opportunity for failure. I think of seeing people bringing products back to a supply house after their installation is complete, specifically an extra bucket of liquid applied membrane, which they viewed as extra, but was actually essential to the successful installation of that shower. And their statement was, well, I got it all covered with 1 bucket. I didn't need the second bucket. No, you actually did need that because you needed that to get to the appropriate thickness. So those things will in turn rear their ugly head in due time. Our sheet applied membrane Curdy is waterproof, it's vapor tight, and it's always the same thickness. It's always a uniform thickness. It integrates with our drain. It's a single installation step, and it's ready for tile the moment that you're done installing it. So the key features is it's an all-inclusive system. We have all of our own integrated components, prefabricated components. They're all lightweight, and there's no special skills required to install this. It's very, very, very simple. I've got photographs of my 9-year-old daughter installing all of these components. And this is also covered by our same 10-year warranty. Labor and material. So the benefits of it is that it prevents leakage, it prevents mold growth, it's quick and simple to install, and it's very easy to transport. These products come in a kit form, or you can buy all the components, parts, and pieces individually. So how that benefits is we see that kit right there is for a 48 by 48 shower. Well, let's say we've got a 48 by 60 shower. You could purchase this kit and you could buy additional components, parts, and pieces to add to that kit. Or you could just start and just buy all of the components separately. So the components, the three different areas that we refer to are waterproofing, drainage, and substrate. So waterproofing, we're referring to basically everything you see there is orange. Our Curdy membrane, our Curdy banding, our inside and outside corners, all of those components. Drainage, we're referring to our drain. And then substrate, we're referring to the preformed trays and curbs. So here is all the waterproofing components. Curdy board is also another option in place of Curdy. Curdy board is a building panel that comes in 3/16 all the way to 2-inch thicknesses in all different increments. Our 1/2-inch board is most popular for installation over 16 on center stud spacing. So if we're in a remodel application and we're tearing out an existing, we could just simply install 1/2-inch Curdy board over that stud spacing, make waterproofing connections wherever there's a seam or a screw and washer that holds it on. And at that point, we're ready to set tile. The drain assembly. One of the most unique things we see with our drain versus traditional 2-stage drains is the fact that we make a square grate. Most of our mosaic tiles that are going on our shower floors are square. So having to cut a circle in those squares is very, very difficult. So having a square grate to match up with those mosaics is not only aesthetically pleasing, but it's also time saver for the installer.
Is there a round option available where it would apply?
Yeah, we do have a round option. It's a 6-inch, but it is an option. So our prefab shower bases come in our square configuration, 48 by 48 or 72 by 72.
Can those be cut down to size?
They can.
Okay.
We have a 32 by 60 offset and a 32 by 60 center. And the question was, can they be cut down? Yes, they can, and they can also be extended.
Okay.
So it is an expanded polystyrene or a dense styrofoam. So very easy to cut with a skill saw, an extendable utility knife or box cutter, or you can run through a table saw.
Okay.
Here we're showing an installer extending it with dry pack mortar. Dry pack mortar is a material that you would use to do a traditional water in, water out shower and float the entire floor, where here we're simply using it just to merely extend the shower. And then the prefab curb. That curb is a 6-inch height. That is also something that in the field I never installed at a 6-inch height. I always ran it through a table saw and brought it down to anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 inches in height. Less of a stumbling issue for people. We also prefab some benches. And this is one of our biggest selling items that just came out probably about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now. These preformed shower niches in 6 by 12, 12 by 12, 12 by 20, and 12 by 28 are the inside dimensions on those. And the two larger ones have a shelf in them, which would be determined at the time of tile installation. You would set that to a fixed position. And a lot of times I'll take those larger ones and I'll install them horizontally and just leave the shelf out. So a sealed shower installation. I'll kind of quickly go through these slides, just giving you a rundown of how this stuff goes together. But the importance of cleaning and dampening the substrate is so that we don't prematurely dry out the thin set, because we're installing just a small amount of thin set on the wall, just enough to seat the membrane.
And is that on just, is that on green board or is that on standard drywall?
That's a fantastic question. And the answer is you can utilize a green board or a blue board or a moisture sensitive panel, or what we're showing in these slides is just a regular sheetrock. Yep. And then you can also go over cement board, but the cost and the time to install it is more than that of drywall. So
Or if you, like you say, in a remodel situation, you wouldn't use drywall, you use the Curdy board.
correct. Yeah. What we're seeing right here, instead of drywall, would be curry board, and we'd just be making some banding connections.
Okay.
So we're embedding our curdy into the mortar, and we're not trying to squeeze all the thin set out that we just installed on the wall. We're just trying to evacuate the air from behind it. It's very similar to the installation of wallpaper. Here we're showing the banding connections and pipe seal and mixing valve seal going on. Then switching down to the floor, changing a trowel size to a larger trowel to install the tray. Shower tray gets set into place. We lightly walk on it just to bed it. At that point, we switch back to our smaller trowel. We're filling the recessed area of the tray so that we can seat the drain. We want enough thin set so that that drain is fully supported. Trowel out thin set for the curb, making sure that we're having a thin set connection between all these components. You see it there where the curb is going to meet the tray. We've got thin set. And also you notice there's thin set on the end wall there where the curb meets the wall. Back to our small trowel again. We're troweling the thin set out over that pre-sloped tray. We're bringing our curdy out and up and over. You'll see how the inside and outside corners make those connections very simple. And then simply banding between those corners. And that is a completed waterproofed installation. On that 4x4 shower that you're seeing right there, now granted I've installed probably over 100 showers, so I can execute that in 2 hours or less.
Wow.
What about the corners if you have, excuse me, have that curb meeting up with a glass panel? So a shower we're working on right now is 2 walls, wall tile, and then 2 walls, glass door, glass panel. But that curb will obviously be butted up to one of those glass walls.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Do you have the ability to tile the end of that curb before that glass wall goes on, or are you talking about a glass block wall?
No, it's
Just a glass panel that's going to be
panel,
installed. We do make a profile that is a U-shaped channel that's a 1/2 inch,
Okay.
which receives a 3/8 panel of glass very well.
Okay.
That's something that could be installed within the tile installation, and then the glazers can just drop their panels into it.
Okay.
That's something that presents an option for you.
Okay.
There's almost always an answer.
So you're basically curbing those 2 locations.
But yeah, like I said, I could execute this installation inside of 2 hours on a basic shower like this. I would say the first time homeowner do-it-yourselfer would probably be a full day. And a contractor that has the trowel skills would probably be around a 6-hour time period for his first one. But by the time he would do his 4th or 5th, would be down in a close to 3 to 4 hour, or maybe within that 2-hour time frame. So a little bit more into Curdy board. It's also waterproof and it's a vapor resistant panel, just like our Curdy membrane is. It's unaffected by moisture, dimensionally stable. It's flat, plumb, level, and square. It's very lightweight, 95% lighter than cement backer board. It does have an R2 value on a 1/2-inch panel. And it also gives you the printed grid lines, which are great for cutting. Makes it very easy to take dimensions and make your cuts. So it's an extruded hard foam with a cement-free reinforcement layer and then the fleece webbing waterproofing on the outside. It's easy to cut, dust-free, quick install, very easy to install. It has the same 10-year warranty that covers labor and material, and it's competitively cost. And when you look at what it would cost to put in a 1/2-inch cement backer board and then cover it with a liquid waterproofing membrane to get that same waterproof vapor tight scenario. And it's ready for tile. So this is how it's fastened with a screw and fender washer. Shows you both over wood or steel studs. What that's detailing is that on a wood stud, we want 3/4 of an inch penetration into the stud, and on steel, 3/8 of an inch penetration. Maximum of 12-inch spacing, but you notice on the bottom of that slide that that single screw and fender washer is holding both panels together. We're banding our seams, and then anywhere where we have a screw. And there you have a completed shower installation with Curdy board. So, like I said, different thicknesses from 3/16 at the top to 2 inches at the bottom. It gives you a ton of possibilities. Some of the cool things we can do with it are we can build an entire tub deck. That thing can be completely tiled, and a Whirlpool jetted tub can be set right into it.
So I was going to ask for the walls, how do you know when you should use the Curdy board versus that membrane?
I like to equate it to a remodel application versus a new construction application. In a new construction setting, it's a lot of times, in my opinion, easier if you can trust the builder and the sheetrock contractor to give you a, let's call it somewhat level and somewhat flat surface to work off of. It's easier to just come in and hang the fabric membrane. But in a remodel application where you're tearing out existing and you have to put up a panel again, it's more time effective to put up a panel that's already waterproof, that you're just simply making a banding connection and some connections over some penetrations.
That makes sense.
You're also able to build custom benches and partition walls. You can use it for tiled countertops, and also over a backsplash, you can use a thinner board. Let's say we had to tear out an existing tile backsplash and the wall was all marred up. Rather than cutting all that drywall out and replacing it, you could go over it with a 3/16 inch board and float out some of those imperfections. We also have the ability to do curved applications with we call it a V board. It's a curved panel, so you can bend it to different radiuses.
Do you have to do anything extra for waterproofing with that?
So with this V board, it depends which side you're placing out. So if you're placing out the side that has all the curves in it, you would have to cover that with Curdy fabric.
Okay.
If the side that's facing out is the side that's facing the installer in this picture, that side is waterproofed. It's only the side where the cut's in it. If you had to face that out to get a more drastic radius, then that side would have to be then filled with inset and waterproofed.
Okay.
So bathtub surrounds, we can either utilize Curdy board or Curdy membrane. Our banding, mixing valve, and pipe seals. This is just a detail that shows how to make that waterproof connection from either Curdy board or drywall down to a tub deck. That is our Curdy Fix. It's a urethane sealant down at the base there. So should one waterproof the corners or the walls first if they were putting Curdy membrane over drywall? Any ideas? Any guesses? Corners.
I'll say walls, just to be,
Just to be the adversary? The answer is it doesn't matter.
they're both right.
The key to this system is just merely a 2-inch overlap. So however we achieve that is totally fine. So what type of thin set do I use? We briefly went over it during Dieter installation. Unmodified. So it's just a thin set that's comprised of Portland cement and sand. And once again, no premixed. The trowel that we use is a 1/4 3/16 V notch or an 8x8 square notch. And it's the same 10-year warranty as with Dieter. Covers the entire tile assembly and free inspection. So if there is an issue with any of our products, we ask you to get in touch with myself or our customer service department. Any of our literature has our 800 number on it. So we're easily accessible, and we will come out and inspect whatever the issue is, free of charge. And these are all the resources that go along with the shower system. This is a little video thing that you can actually go through, and it asks you a series of questions specific to the installation that you are trying to execute. And it will then compile a playlist of videos specific to your installation. So if you were to do a shower tub surround, it would not show you the installation of one of our drains, because if you're just tiling above a tub, you're obviously not installing one of our drains. So it compiles the playlist specific to you, so you're not watching a bunch of added extras.
Nice.
It's really nice.
So that is available on our website. The nice feature with this is if you are working with a customer and walking them through this, and you do not then want to take the time there to watch it, you can either save it or share it. Share it gives you the option to just send it to them in an email.
That's great.
Any questions on showers?
I don't think so.
All right. Moving on to profiles. What do? They protect the tile edge. They provide finished appearance. They transition to other surfaces, accommodate movement, and they replace expensive, and I like to add non-existent ceramic or porcelain or stone trim pieces. A lot of, and I'm sure you can agree to this, a lot of the tiles that are coming out nowadays do not make a coordinating trim. They don't do.
Or they quadruple the price of the project.
Right.
If they do.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's face it. A lot of trim pieces that are pre-manufactured for us that coordinate with the tile are, I would say, at minimum $8 per foot. Some of them a little bit less.
Well, and they're to your advantage of using the Schluter trim pieces. The trim for porcelain and ceramic is never made at the same time that the field tile is, so hence your word coordinating. It's not a match, you know.
Correct.
Yeah, they're a different die lot. A lot of times they're a completely different material that they're manufactured out of. I mean, there's tons of different variables that can make it difficult to make that installation look nice. And the photograph on the left here is the reason that these profiles exist. This is what Mr. Schluter was having difficulties with primarily, was where tile met carpet. And that's why he designed and developed the sheen profile. And even the photograph on the right is a coordinating trim piece for that tile selection. But over time, even that can become damaged. And this is where they either didn't order the appropriate trim pieces on the right, or they were just too lazy to take the time to figure it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of times what we see too. And then on the left, an inside corner in a commercial space, a lot of times you will see a cracked grout joint or a cracked caulk joint where tile meets tile. So the anatomy of a profile is the protective edge. We have an integrated grout spacer, and we've got a trapezoidal anchoring leg. And this is how it's installed. That anchoring leg is bedded within thin set, and then the tile is abutted to that grout spacer, and the protective edge does its job. So sheen works great for same height transitions. You're left with just a very small visible metal profile edge. Reno T is a profile that just installs with an adhesive or a sealant within an open grout joint for same height transitions. Reno TK is a fantastic profile when used butting up to carpet. Gives your carpet installer an area to tuck his cut edge into. And also for other floor coverings, if you're just reducing down. Reno U is great for butting up to VCT or carpet tiles that are thinner, or to a tile transition that's lower. And then Jolly or Sheen is great for wall profiles. So this is where I ask the question, Jolly and Sheen are both the same L-shaped profile. Why do they have a different name? Any ideas?
No. One vertical, one horizontal.
Application changes, yeah.
So
Inside corner or outside corner?
The reason for the difference in the name is Sheen is specific to all floor installations because it's a anodized aluminum profile or a stainless steel or solid brass, whereas Jolly is a PVC or color-coated aluminum. Not acceptable in a floor installation because obviously PVC would break and a color-coated aluminum will wear.
Okay.
So that's the purpose for the two different names. But Sheen in an anodized aluminum or stainless or brass can be used in a wall installation.
Okay.
Price aggressive.
Jolly is definitely a lot less expensive, yes. Sheen in just an anodized aluminum is a very inexpensive profile, but the PVC profiles are very inexpensive per linear foot, and some of the color-coated aluminum options are also not too bad in price in comparison to porcelain, ceramic, stone trim pieces.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, in one of the kitchens that I've been working on, they've got an existing vinyl floor that could potentially be that asbestos vinyl. And
Okay.
they're not sure they want to remove it. And the thing with it too is that that floor is completely flush with their hardwood floor that is in the adjacent dining room and hallway. So we had originally thought that tiling it was out of the questions because it would change the surface height. So this thing, the Reno, is that the TK, that profile, is that one that could potentially be used in that situation so that the higher tile would kind of transition without a toe scrub to the hardwood floor?
I would think that the Reno U
The Reno
might
U.
give you a better, the Reno, do you say Reno TK or Reno T?
I'm trying to look at I think it's the TK. I'm not sure. I see a picture, one of the other
The TK here is good for carpet transitions. I mean, if you knew you were going to have specifically this dimension left,
Mhm.
you could execute this install. But I think if you could if you could come up with the thickness of your tile appropriately, as well as including Detra into that scenario. If you could install this directly on the vinyl and bring your Detra into this installation, and then bring your tile and flush all that out, you would have just this very small height difference.
Would that be ADA compliant?
They are ADA compliant.
Even with if there is a slight difference, if that's a little trip hazard.
I think it's less than 1/8 of an inch.
Okay.
The other one that gives you a perfectly flush transition, I don't show it in this presentation, I don't believe, but it's Reno Ramp, but it is quite a bit larger and somewhat unsightly for a residential application.
It's more of a traditional clamshell type, where it goes all the way down to the smooth surface.
Correct. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I guess the point is there probably is a profile that would work, Darcy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
because our other option was to just use the marmoleum so that it really reduces the height.
Right, you'd still need to use some type of a transition anyway.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we've got the profile chain sets here, and everyone has one. You should have one of the chain sets.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
take
I
a look.
haven't received anything in the mail yet, so I don't know if you had kept it because I was going to try to be up there, but
That might be it.
That could be, yeah.
I'll look.
okay.
A package should have went to every location on the list, though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll double check.
I'll double check that I put you on the list
Okay.
and that you were going to be here.
So this just shows a installation of Jolly on a tub deck. Here's our Rondeck profile with a rounded edge appearance, somewhat similar to that of a bullnose. This has coordinating outside corners for it. Gives the installer the ability to just make square cuts and butt into that nice rounded edge instead of having to try and miter things. And you also have inside corners. Finished installation with it as a topper on a ceramic base. And then also very similar to that Rondeck, but with a squared off edge, is our Quadeck profile. The corners for this are the same, whether you're going to do inside or outside. Personally, I don't see the benefit, and I know I'm taking money out of my pocket. I don't see the benefit of using it on the inside. I would just butt them square.
Yeah, you would know.
And you save yourself some money that way. But on the outside, they're fantastic. Here's a countertop profile. The open channel on the face gives you the ability to either cut field tile to the appropriate size, or you can utilize a mosaic of sorts to create an accent or coordinate with maybe a mosaic backsplash or an accent piece that you're installing within a backsplash. So gives you some options there as far as design and creativity. So this is not my tile selection of choice, but it kind of gives you the idea of how that can be executed. This Rondeck step profile is great. Throughout the Midwest, we've got a lot of tiled areas that go into a set of stairs going to a basement. So this profile was something I used in a lot of installations to both cover and protect the edge of my tile, as well as cover up that unsightly 3/4 subfloor. Giving you a very nice clean transition to that carpeted stairway going into usually a finished basement. That Rondex step profile can also be utilized as a countertop profile as well, though, which we see there.
Aha. So Andy, when we were talking about refinishing my kitchen counters with the large format porcelain tile, this could be
I was just
used as
thinking
an
that.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself, so yes, we'll do that.
I've got some pictures I can share with you
Okay,
of a
excellent.
tiled countertop install I just did.
Fabulous.
Just solved every problem with that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then obviously a commercial set of stairs. So installing profiles, just real quick, cut them to size and dry fit them first before you get them smeared full of a bunch of thin set to find out they're not the right size. Then we will apply our bond coat of thin set. Comb out your mortar, set the profile in place and embed it. Then comb additional thin set out over it. This is very, very key to the successful installation of a floor profile. Wall profiles, you can get away with sliding them in after your tile's up.
Mm-hmm.
But on a floor installation, we call it an anchoring leg for the reason that it needs to be anchored.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't have a full bond of thin set from the subfloor that we're going off of, or the membrane that we're going off of, all the way through to the tile, that profile's not anchored. And then it's allowed to move, therefore cracking grout, therefore becoming just as unsightly as a broken edge of a tile. So we're combing thin set over that leg. This is also something that is really crucial for successful tile installation, is back buttering of tile. I would venture to guess that 60 to 70%, if not more, of the installers out there now today do not back butter tiles in a tile installation, which is one of the biggest reasons we go out to look at claims. We get out there and we find that after we break a tile off the floor, we've got 20 to 30% coverage on the back of the tile that was bonded to the floor. And the industry standard on a floor installation is 80. You need to see 80% coverage. And in a wet area, that number is 95%.
Large formats, 100% coverage.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, your large formats, it's essential to a successful install, because otherwise you end up with air pockets underneath
Right.
those big tiles.
It's gonna teeter, and then you're
The second you drop something on it, it's gonna crack instantly. So we set the tile with that integrated grout spacer, leaves a 1/16 of an inch space. So what size profile should we use? So I would like to reference the fact that this illustration is very realistic for a tile size that's about a 13 by 13 or smaller. Some of the large format tiles that we're getting into now, though, we need to account for our mortar bed that we need to use to install those. So if we've got a 3/8 tile that's 12 by 12 or 13 by 13, a 3/8 profile is exactly what you want to use. If you're getting into 12 by 24, 16 by 16 or larger tiles, I would say you would want to jump up to the next size profile above the thickness of the tile to accommodate for the medium bed mortar that you're using to set that tile. And profiles can be used almost anywhere. Floors, walls, countertops, stairs, and showers.
So you said almost, where can that?
I would say the only areas that we've seen some issue with profile installations is specific to the type of material, and sometimes within exterior applications, we're exposed to a ton of direct sunlight. Just if you get something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, we like you to reference us.
Absolutely.
prior to doing that install. We have had some issues with some of our stainless profiles. We manufacture two different kinds of stainless. It's a 304 and a 316, I believe, are the two different types of stainless. Swimming pool areas, you have to use the higher grade stainless, or the chlorines or the salts will eat away at them and tarnish them.
So I think commercial kitchens, we could also be in the same situation.
Yeah, commercial kitchens, you would want to use the higher grade stainless. Here's the resources. Not a lot of resources on profiles, mostly due to the fact that they're pretty self-explanatory. But we are available and at your accessibility when you have questions with them.
The size is always a question though, so that's a good thing to know, you know, 12, anything smaller than 12 by 24, just go with your normal 3/8 if that's your thickness of your tile. Anything larger, go up one.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
If you always go up one, are you gonna run into problems?
I would rather have you go up a size because you can always build up with a medium bed mortar to match the height of that profile. But if you're too small, you're still leaving some of the exposed edge of that tile, which can either be unsightly because it's not a through body, or it's able to be damaged.
Okay.
So
So when in doubt.
Well, yeah, so areas where you have like either a mosaic going into a large format or multiple sizes, then just make sure it's sized one up for the largest, and then you'll be good.
Yep. Any questions on that?
No, I don't think so.
Wow, we kind of cruised right through that.
Well, no videos. So.
Yeah, we weren't able to hit up on some of those videos, but I'll make sure that you can get access to those. Real quick, I'll just touch on our workshop program though too. What our workshop program is, and it's free for all of you to attend. They hold it all over the country. It's all 2 days now, no longer any 2.5 day classes, but all across the United States. We're going to do over 200 of them this year. They're typically either at one of our facilities or we host them at hotels typically where we have a conference center, and it's classroom and hands-on. So you will spend the start of each day in a classroom setting with a PowerPoint presentation given, and then the afternoon of each day we get into the hands-on application where first we trowel a demo of what you're going to do, and then you actually get the ability to trowel hands-on. We set up modules for everyone to work in.
Just so you guys know, the next training session in Milwaukee is actually the Wednesday and Thursday before our big meeting here. So if you're coming in town and can make it in a couple days early, Heidi, I'll babysit for you.
Well, that's an offer that can't be refused. I've never had a person say that they regretted coming. We get huge compliments and huge reviews, and a lot of times we get emails from our customers after they've attended saying what a fantastic time they had. Not only the people that they got to meet, industry ideas that they were able to share with other industry professionals. Lots of positive things come from attending these workshops, not just learning about our products.
So open to contractors, designers, and salespeople.
Yeah, anybody that's in the industry.
Excellent.
Yep. And that'll be you installing.
Nice.
Where to register, schluterevents.com. So you can simply go online and register for that. There is no cost. The only thing they do ask for a credit card if you are going to stay in a room with us, and that is merely for incidentals or for the event that you do a no-call, no-show on us. And we were to get billed for the first night of that room. But we do verify with you 72 hours prior attendance. We do 3 calls and then an email. If we get no response from you, we take you off the list. If we do get a response from you saying that you are coming within that 72-hour period, and then you still no-show, that's where you would get charged for the room. But yeah, it's fantastic. Prior to working for Schluter, I was using their products for about 5 years in my business, and I attended 3 different workshops throughout that 5 years. So it's great to attend when new products come out or just for a refresher.
Nice.
You said that training in Milwaukee would be March 30th and 31st then?
Yeah, I have the information. I can send it out. I just wanted to wait until after today.
Is that an all-day event then?
Yeah, it's all day, 2 days. So
Okay.
rough idea of what the schedule is, 7 to 8 a.m. is breakfast. And then we usually wrap up at around 4:35 on day 1 and between 3:30 and 4 on day 2.
Excellent. Any other questions?
I don't think so. This was great.
Can my
Awesome.
husband come with me to the training?
There you go. Well, we will have this up on in the Dropbox shortly after we get it uploaded there. And as always, if you have additional questions, please send us an email or give us a call. And thank you very much for coming in. We really appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Again. Stop this. I'll have to cut that part of the video. I always stop this.
I'm going to quick use the bathroom.
Sure.
Right back.